Welcome to Spoken Reviews, home of the Spoken Reviews. Today, guys, we're doing a quick road trip back to Fort Worth from Houston, Texas. Trip. What we're going to do is we're going to leave the Houston area, go up 45, stop in Fairfield because we do have some land out in Fairfield. We're going to stop and check on the land, make sure everything's good on the land, and then make our way back up 45 to Fort Worth. So, should be a fun trip. So we're going to keep Trip A still logged. And now remember, Trip A was the trip from Fort Worth to Austin, seeing the Gigafactory, from Austin to Houston, driving in Houston, and then it's going to be going back to Fort Worth. So we're going to keep Trip A there, just so you can kind of see the total usage for the weekend. So you can see the miles, the total energy used, and the average watt miles. So you can see we just took the Beltway across. Now we're just getting on 45. We'll be taking 45 all the way to Centerfield, Texas, and then we'll stop at our land. It's saying that we'll get to Centerfield with 21%, and to Centerfield's actually a 250 charger, so really good high speeds. Spend 10 minutes there, go to the land, and then we'll just proceed home. Let's quickly look at the the trip data. So again, we started this trip, you can basically say at 460, and you can see we've used what we're at right now, what we're averaging the trip. I do want to point out that we did start the trip again at 86% battery, so we've gone from 86% to 64% and 56 miles. So if you do the math again, that number is looking, around that 200 mile-ish mark. When it's stress highway, you can see the speeds we're going right now. We're going at 75 miles per hour on autopilot, just letting the car do its thing. And you can see that's my youngest, who is having fun in the back. Real quickly looking at the energy. So it says we're going to get to Centerfield at about 24%. So I'll probably pick up the speed once we open up on 45 and it becomes like straight interstate. They're still in the city limits right now, so I'll probably burn some more batteries just so that when we get down to Centerville, it'll be just a faster charge. Alright, so I do want to point out that we're at half of the battery pack, and we've gone basically, since last time we charged, 107 miles. So if you do the math, the way that we're driving, you can basically get it going from like 95%. You can basically get about 215 miles, 220 miles rural. Now, specifically looking at this trip that we're on, we've gone just under 90 miles. And you can see we're averaging 280 kilowatts, so pretty good on that. That's it. Okay, coming up close to our first supercharging, and hopefully the only one. As everyone can see, we're at 143 miles since last time we charged. We've used 40 kilowatt hours, and on this trip right now we've been going for 125 miles, almost 2 hours, and we're averaging 287 watt hours per mile. So really good efficiency, and everything that we need. Okay, so we've made it to Centerfield, Texas. Again, you can see, so on this battery, we've gone 154 miles with, more than 25% left. So again, the numbers are looking out pretty consistently, that you can probably go around 220 miles, 225 miles on this vehicle. Again, let's look at some of the numbers. So on this trip, we've gone 137 miles, 2 hours of driving, 287 watt hours per mile. And since the last time we've charged, we've done 154 miles since the last charge, 44 kilowatt hours used, which again, we know this vehicle has 67 usable, and we're averaging 282 watt hours. So we did peak early, so we peaked right at about 210 kilowatts. And now you can see we're kind of slowly coming down, but we are going to charge pretty deep into the pack. That way we can make it to the land and make it to Fort Worth and not have to stop again. All right, and the superchargers are actually really nice in Centerfield. So there's about 12 of them, and they're located right behind the Woody's, which is a super popular barbecue spot. So we did grab some food. So we're gonna walk back to the car, change diapers, start eating some food, and by the time that's done, we'll be ready to go on to the next. Okay, so the session went well. We added 50 kilowatt hours in about 25 minutes at the cost of $17, so pretty good. And we're headed to the next location, which would be Fairfield, Texas. So we have 30 miles to Fairfield, another 8 miles or so to the land, so I'd say about 38, 40 miles. Quickly, let's look at the numbers of the trip. So again, we charged up. So far we've gone 4 miles on this charge, 600 miles total since we left Fort Worth on Friday, and now it's Sunday, so pretty good. We'll check back in whenever we get to the land. And quickly, this is our travel trailer that we recently got. Keystone Hideout, excellent travel trailer. And we do plan on towing it with the Model Y, so that'll be fun. I expect the range basically to be cut in half whenever we do that. But it'll be like a fun video to do, just to kind of show you do have the capability of doing that. That was fun. Let's get back on the road. But it's always good, again, to come out and check on the land. So the Tesla GPS does have us getting back to Fort Worth with 5%. So we're probably going to stop and charge literally for like 4 or 5 minutes, just to get a little buffer. My goal is to get home with like 10%, just because it's cheaper to fill up at home. No need to fill up a supercharger, but I do want to have a little bit of a buffer. So we spent more time in Fairfield than I planned on, and it's saying we're only going to get back to Fort Worth with 4%. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to stop in Corsicana for literally 5 minutes, maybe put like 5 kilowatt hours in the battery, and then just take us home. That way we'll at least get home with 10% and just have a little bit more buffer. So we're going to pull an audible. We're actually going to skip the Corsicana supercharger. It says we're going to get home in 5%, so we're going to see how accurate the Tesla computer is. Worst case scenario, we can always stop in Fort Worth and charge before getting north Fort Worth. We live in the north side of Fort Worth, but we're just going to go ahead and press it and see what happens. Also, whenever we go across 287, the speed limit slows down, so we're going to get better efficiency anyway. So I think we'll be able to pull this off and get home right at 5%, which is what we're aiming for, right? It doesn't make sense to pay 34 cents a kilowatt at the superchargers when you can pay 7 cents at home. So that's the game plan. We'll see how it goes. Okay, quick update. So we're now 59 miles from the land, 102 miles since the last charge, sitting at 38%, so doing pretty good. It looks like we will make it home with 6% battery. So yeah, things are looking good. And we have about another hour and some change to get there, so we'll keep you guys updated, but so far so good. So now we're coming up on Mansfield, Texas. This is kind of a speed trap, so we're definitely slowing down a little bit, and the predicted range when we get home is now saying we'll be anywhere from like 3 to 5%. It kind of fluctuates. And updating on as far as the mileage, since the last time we charged, it's about 140 miles, 43 kilowatt hours since we charged last. And since we left, stopping at the land in Fairfield, we're about at 96 miles from them in an hour and 25 minutes. And quick update, so the predicted range when we get home is going to be 3%. Right now we're sitting at 21%. And I'll also point out that, again, it's another hot day in the south, so 102 degrees. So definitely have the AC. It's been going anywhere between like 7 to 9 on the fan speed, just to kind of keep the cabin cool. And just updating, we're about 19 miles from home, 15% charge, and says we'll get home basically at 5%. So yeah, pretty impressed with this 4680 battery and the range. So a lot of people have concerns about the range, and I'm here to show with the proof that you guys can see that you can very easily do road trips around Texas, around big states, and in the heat, 103 degree weather, and get the job done. So really impressed. Pretty much made it right down the street from the house, but we're gonna go ahead and wash off some of the bugs and some of the highway dirt off of the Model Y and take it home, and then we'll go over the stats. And real quickly before we get out and wash, So 173 miles since last charged, 52 kilowatt hours, 299 for the watt per mile. And the current trip after we left the land, 2 hours, 130 miles, and 292 on the kilowatt hours. So pretty good. Let's quickly get this washed off and we can get it going. That's much better. Let's go ahead and get this home and we'll look at the numbers for the entire trip. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the numbers in two different sections. So the first section will be just the part 2 of the trip. So that was going from Houston back to Fort Worth. And section 2 we'll do the total trip. We'll go over all the stats total and the cost and compare it to other vehicles. So for part 2 of the trip, we left Houston this morning. The total trip was 278 miles. We left Houston at about 94% battery charge. We got to Centerfield, Texas and stopped there and charged. We stopped there for 30 minutes and we did the charge, got out, used the bathroom, changed the baby's diapers, got some food. And actually by the time we got the food and got back to the car, started eating, we were done with the charge, so then we had to actually unplug, park, and finish eating. After that, we went to Fairfield, Texas, where we have some property down there, checked out the property, made sure everything was good, and then we made it back home at 5% battery. For the total trip, we went a total of 776 miles. Starting on Friday, we left Fort Worth. We went to Austin. From Austin, we went to the Gigafactory, took the drone out, flew the drone around. We have a separate video that we'll link below for that. From the Gigafactory, we went to Houston. We spent 2 days in Houston, drove around town, visited family and friends, hung out, had no issues at all with the Tesla or the battery. It worked out great within Houston. We left Houston on Sunday. We went from Houston to Centerfield, Texas to Supercharge, and we ate at Woody's. Super cool spot. I'd highly recommend going there and checking out if you have a chance and you're off of 45. From Centerville, we went to Fairfield, Texas, where we had some property. That was another detour. We also had the car running the whole time to keep the baby was taking a nap, so the car was running to keep the baby cool. We were there for about 30 minutes. Checked out the land, everything was cool. Checked out our travel trailer, everything was good to go. Left Fairfield and came straight to Fort Worth. We were debating on if we were going to stop and charge in Corsicana, but we kind of rolled the dice and made the decision to go ahead and do it. And we made it back here with plenty of battery. Actually, we were pretty close to home within 8% of battery left, but then we actually stopped and washed the car. And by the time we got home from that, we were at 5%. Going over some of the numbers, so we used a total of 239 kilowatt hours. Looking over the cost, so at Abbott, Texas, we spent $3.74 and we got 11 kilowatt hours. Then we went to Round Rock, we spent $15.98 and we got a total of 47 kilowatt hours. Then we went to Columbus, Texas, stopped there, spent $5.10 and got 15 kilowatt hours. Then we had 3 different chargers in Katy. 2 of them were at the same time, but we just moved over because someone got next to us and it kind of like slowed down our charging. So the first one we spent $14.28, got 42 kilowatt hours. The second one we spent $8.84, got 26 kilowatt hours. And the next one we spent $7.82 and got 23 kilowatt hours. From there, we went to, again, Centerfield, Texas, and spent $17 and got 50 kilowatt hours. Total spent was $72.76. And then if you factor in the electricity that we used from home to start the trip off, that was $10. So you can estimate that we spent a total of $83 on the total trip, going 776 miles. Comparing the results to the other vehicles and what it would cost. So again, with the Honda that we have, it's getting 30 mpg. So the 776 miles would have taken 25.86 gallons. At 480 a gallon, it would have been a total of 124 to do the trip in the Honda Accord. To do the trip in the Toyota Highlander, 23 miles a gallon. So with the 776 miles that we drove, it would have taken 33.73 gallons, a total cost of $162. And if we'd have taken the truck that's lifted, going into 776 miles, it would have taken 54.42 gallons at a total cost of $266. So you can see the total cost of driving a gas vehicle that's 776 miles versus the electric car with the supercharging only costing $83. A big thing to note that If we would have done more home charging, like we had a home charger in Katy or in Houston, that $83 would have been something more like, like $50 if we weren't actually supercharging. So if we could avoid the superchargers and charge at regular wall outlets, it would have been significantly cheaper. So my takeaway from this entire trip, going 776 miles for the last 3 days, going from Fort Worth to Austin to Houston back to Fort Worth, is that the standard range 4680 Model Y is extremely capable. The range is adequate enough, honestly. I always thought that I would need the long range, but honestly, as you guys can see, I mean, stopping once each time to get the job done isn't bad at all. No concerns at all about the range. It's extremely efficient, rides smooth, great vehicle, safe, everything's working perfectly fine, and really did enjoy it. Questions about road noise. Road noise, again, was super low. Hopefully you can hear that on a lot of the videos. Minimum road noise, no rattles. Build quality, again, is excellent. The vehicle, it turns heads. It's everything that I wanted in a Model Y. Yeah, extremely excited. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching this video. Hopefully it was helpful. If you liked the video, hit the like button for me. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. If you have any ideas about videos or questions that you have, leave those below too. If you want to see more videos like this, sub to the channel. Thanks a lot and have a great day.